What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and we need to talk about Wistoria chapter 32. If you remember in the last chapter, basically, Will has ascended to the tower, and he and Julius are kind of like, they're the last ones that haven't been picked by a faction. Now, we open this up with a little bit of an Elfie story, okay? So, it's Elfie and her little keeper, and Elfie's kind of having a temper tantrum here. And I kind of get where she's at right now, right? So the whole situation here is Elfie wanted to scout Will. There's no two ways about this. Like, that was 100% what she was aiming for. And she's like, when I called him up, when he passed all the tests, you said that I could bring him into the Ice faction. And old girl's just like, yeah, it ain't gonna happen. It's not how this is gonna go. It would cause problems, etc., etc. There's a number of reasons why that could not be a thing. So, essentially, even though Will finally, MacGuffined his way through his test, even though he's made it to the upper echelon, he has to be accepted. He can't just... Elfie can't basically, give him a shortcut to this. And in a way, it makes sense. That level of favoritism... It would almost look like nepotism at some point. So it's, it does make sense. So anyway, old girl's just like, yeah, we can set up a test, and based on how he performs in that test is how we can proceed. And Elfie's straight up like, oh, he's gonna beat the test. He's gonna blow everyone out of the water. So essentially, that is her expectation. Now, that was kind of like a prelude to the area where we left off last week, where essentially all the factions are here, all the Magi are here, and most everyone has been granted the color except Will, Julius, and a couple other people. They're just their outfits are still just white, no color, no nothing, essentially. So, and everyone's just kind of going over their thing. Sion's turned red. Gloria's the outfit. Colette's turned brown, and they're just kind of like, yes, your outfit will now basically match those that are also in that same faction that you've been chosen in. And of course, everyone else is kind of standing around going, well, what do we do now? And Julius is kind of mind broken here. This is. I kind of feel bad for him in a way because he's kind of used to being kept, but now he's just having to make do. No, he's not the only one. There are other people around here, including Will, but old girl right here is like, now you've yet to receive the honors as part of the colorless. You have to be put through a test. Only mages who belong to a faction may climb the tower. No faction, no advancement. And this is that level of cruelty that essentially Edward was talking about. It makes sense at some point. So yeah. Basically, they have to prove themselves. That's essentially where we're at. This is the ultimate test. And if they don't pass this, there's not much further they can go. So, a mob here kind of enters the fray. And they're like, but there's one rule in the tower. Show your worth. And so this monster literally just starts charging. And it is going nuts. Now, I love this here because Julius is just like, yeah, I got this. He's mad, and with right and reason. He's just trying to basically show his worth and be accepted by the Ice faction. It makes all the sense in the world. They're like, all you got to do is beat the monsters. That is it. That is your one rule. That's the one thing you can do. But then they quickly find out that the monsters are immune to magic. So this literally is a test that is set up for Will to succeed, but it's designed essentially to make it essentially impossible for anybody else to succeed. And nobody's ever figured that a non-magic user would ascend to the tower. It's just unthinkable. So this test makes all the sense of the world, but it just plays into Will's wheelhouse. Now, right now, everybody's kind of having their own little fit. They're trying to figure out, what are we going to do? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to be able to best this? And as the monster approaches Julius kind of has a real smart idea here. He basically impales it with an icicle, but then it all breaks. And he's trying everything he can, essentially, just to unload on this mob, but there's just not much happening here. Now, old girl does say here, he's improved on your spells since the thing. In fact, she does say it didn't look to me like he wasn't beating these guys. It looked like they were giving him the works, but she's basically like, he's beaten 2 of them, but Elfie is not impressed. And everyone's starting to oh, he's one of the standouts, he's this, he's that. And he's like, that's right, I'm a genius. You messed up not picking me. Right? And so everyone's kind of looking back and forth. And if you remember back to the tournament, a lot of people just saw him as kind of arrogant. They started to really... I guess they got disillusioned with what he was doing. But everyone's kind of like, it is what it is, I guess. And then the attendant is like, there's one other person here that's just stealing the show. And that, of course, is Will. And at first it seems like Will is just kind of dealing with the situation. But he says, or somebody mentions he's watching. He's watching this monster's movements. He's basically biding his time until the perfect moment to jump in and attack. And he even mentions to Kiki, he's like, Kiki, sit this one out. I got this, right? So, Will picks up on it. He's like, Elfie couldn't scout me. I'm going to have to make my own way. So he pulls out the repaired glasses, unsheaths his brand new sword, and just goes into battle. And this is awesome, because he is just making short work of everything. He's wiping everything out, and everybody's just losing their minds about everything they're seeing here. And it makes sense. They're used to seeing magic users, not someone who's just physically insanely strong. So, as he's just cutting these things to pieces, you'll notice that Julius is kind of doing his thing, and Will is like, I'm going to borrow one of your icicles. Yoink. Hope you don't mind. Later. Combines it with his sword, and bam. It's essentially what we saw last time all over again. And he's crushed mobs way above this level. Right? He's going out there with, essentially all the attacks and everything that he did before. Dude looks like crazy regal. He is just insane. Absolutely bonkers. And even old girl up here is like, he took out all of them. Essentially in one shot. He one-shot the whole field. And all the factions are like, I want that guy. Everybody's standing up saying, we need this dude. We need him. We need him. And it's unprecedented. This is it right there, literally. The factions are all essentially fighting for Will's patronage? I don't know. Anyway, he's like, I choose... Pardon me, I'm still not over my illness there. And before you can respond, you just hear, stop. Who is this guy? Got no idea, but that is the last of the chapter. We gotta wait till Wednesday to find out. Cliffhanger ending, y'all. But is Will going to get his pick of factions? Of course not. There's going to be something here. And it's not Finn. Somebody new, or maybe that's been introduced. Because Omori has a habit of doing that. But we will see. We will see. Make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date. I'll be back on Wednesday with chapter 33.